family, responsibilities, and why some of that just does not matter. Welcome to episode 6 of My $1 Million Life. I'm LJ Jellison. So today I had a conversation with someone that really kicked up some feelings and points of view that I have. Now, I'm going to preface this with, you may not feel this way, and I apologize if you don't, but it's the way I feel. And everybody's obviously different given their circumstances and how they grew up. Now, I grew up in northern Canada, and my immediate family was basically all that we had in our surrounding areas. So it was my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, and myself, and Grandpa lived an hour away on a farm. So we spent all of our holidays, birthdays, what have you, with just immediate family. So that, combined with the fact that I moved out when I was 16 with my parents' blessing to further my dance career, I have this point of view inside of me that once you leave the nest, parents stop becoming parents and they become friends. You can agree with me, disagree with me, doesn't matter. This is my point of view. They become friends. They become supporters. You know, that parenting side of things has kind of taken a back seat. You're not under their roof anymore, and you're moving out on your own. This, I think, has been one of my strongest points with my family. It actually made it stronger than I think it would have if I had believed that they were still parents and that there was this preconceived energy that needed to go back and forth. In that, my parents and I are actually great friends now. We have a lot in common. We have a great relationship. We don't argue or disagree on a lot of things because we have an open exchange of communication that doesn't have any strings attached. This is the same viewpoint that I place to my responsibilities to all of my family. And it's terribly important when you're trying to achieve your $1 million life or the goals and dreams that you're aspiring to. You have to be able to acknowledge who in your life is positive, loving, and supportive, and who has the tendency to be negative and kind of pull you aside, knock you off path. Whether they are friends, family members, or complete strangers or coworkers should not matter. Now, of course it does. You know, family has a different place in your heart than other people, but I have seen so many people who interact with family members who are not supportive and do not feed your soul. They're not loving in any way, shape, or form, but those family members are given a certain amount of respect because there's this acknowledgement or this thought that it's a right. Because they're family, you have to respect them. I completely disagree. I believe that you have to surround yourself in life with those who are loving and supportive and caring and nurture you as you nurture them. If they are not, regardless of whether they're family or not, they have a different box in your world, a different place that they live as far as interactions go, as far as communications go. And this is one of the toughest things for everybody. If you have a parent who's not supportive, if you have an aunt or an uncle who's vocal or prejudiced or racist or what have you, we have so many different elements in our life that are inflicted upon us. You have to be able to set them into their groups, into their boxes. Now, does it sound harsh? Yeah, it does, but you can't aspire you can't achieve your goals. You can't live that $1 million life if half of you is torn this way while half of you is trying to go that way. Life is definitely not an all or nothing. You got to do everything 100%. I get that. But if you want to achieve your goals, if you want to achieve your dreams, if you want to aspire to greatness, if you want that $1 million life, you have to be focused. You have to be supported. You have to be in a loving community, in a loving environment. You have to be giving as much as you're receiving. And that's just not possible if you're surrounded by people who aren't. So the person that I was talking about, wow, took me a long time to get back here, had lived a life that had people in it who were not loving. But in that same relationship had people who were. So in order to have this relationship, they had to have this relationship. And God knows so many of you have that. And that is an entirely different topic. How do you If you've got a grandparent or a parent or an aunt or an uncle who is loving and their spouse is not, how do you distinguish those relationships? How do you set them apart? And I can't say that I have the answer for all of that, but I can say that you have to find what the right truth is for you on what energies you allow into your life, when you allow them into your life, and how much you allow them into your life. Somebody who oozes negativity, who gossips, who always chasing the headlines, can completely destroy your path. They can completely destroy. It's like a plague. It's just an infection that comes in. Negativity is an infection. If you can at all, I would suggest taking an inventory. Take an inventory of who feeds you. Who do you love being around? Who makes you feel like the person you want to be? And focus on those people. And those who don't, I can't give you the answer of what to do with them, but you've got to be able to associate with the positivity. You've got to figure out how to make your life revolve around these people, because you're going to feed them, they're going to feed you. And you may say, well, that's completely selfish. Is it? Because I would say it's selfless. Because in making changes and making choices about who you associate and who you don't, especially when it comes to family, you're going to take a lot of heat. But you're taking a lot of heat in order to live a more loving and compassionate life. And that's what you're going to share with everybody in your world. So in order to make yourself a better person, to share love and compassion, is that selfish or selfless? I would say it's selfless, because I have 4 children. So if I allow anybody in my world to infect me with negativity, I apply it to my goals, I apply it to my career, I apply it to my workplace. How is that selfless? That now I come home after being infected by somebody else and I allowed that negativity into my house. No. Selflessness is choosing who you associate with. It's choosing your path and your surroundings and allowing yourself to be surrounded by positivity so you can take that and share it with everybody that you touch. That is infectious. If everybody that we knew, everybody you knew, lived positively, lived lovingly, and shared that, imagine the glow that this world would have. If we weren't overtaken by headlines and gossip and rhetoric, and we allowed ourselves to be inspired by those around us who were positive and loving and shut out the rest of it, that's when we find truth. That's when we find peace. That's when we find our $1 million life. So those are my thoughts for this week. Stay tuned next week for episode 7. I've got some very exciting stuff coming for you. Last year, I wanted to do a fundraiser for St. Jude's, which did not pan out. This year, I think it just might. So until next week, I'm LJ, and this is my $1 Million Life.